Walking into a model home in a new construction community can be so exciting. The model home is just perfect. It's beautiful. It's new. And before you even realize it, you get really caught up in that moment. Hi, I'm Tina Veltri, and if this is the first time you're finding me, I'm a realtor on Florida's Space Coast. Now, I actually grew up here on the Space Coast, and I moved away for about 16 years, lived in Chicago and Northwest Indiana, and I moved back here in 2011 to raise my 3 boys. And now I work with a lot of people relocating here, building, downsizing, buying and selling at the same time, all kinds of situations in real estate. And this is where I see people get very overwhelmed really fast, is with new construction. Because there's so much going on all at once. People are talking about upgrades and builder incentives and lot premiums, monthly payments, interest buy-down rates, timelines, design center appointments. And meanwhile, you're emotionally connected to that house. And I get it. It's so exciting. It really is. I've been in model homes and with buyers through the years so many times, so I get it. It's exciting. But this is a major financial and lifestyle decision that you're about to make. And this is where I really want buyers to stop just for a second and think clearly before making that emotional decision to purchase that particular model home right away. And I just created a new construction guide because I really wanted buyers to be able to slow down and really consider everything, the big picture, before making these big decisions. Now, one of the biggest things I tell buyers all the time is just walk out first. Just do it. Because once you're emotionally in love with the home that you're looking at, it gets really hard to think clearly. It's natural, and it really does happen all the time. People are picturing holidays in the house. They're just walking around. Oh, I love this. They love the floor plan. They're imagining coffee on the patio and the grandkids visiting. And meanwhile, people are asking, what lot do you want? Do you want to upgrade these cabinets? And, these are the builder incentives. There's so much going on all at once, especially when it's your first new construction home, when it's the first time you've gone through this process. And this is when buyers really need somebody helping them to guide them and kind of slow them down a bit before making all of these big decisions when there's so many moving pieces. Because once the paperwork gets signed and deposits are paid, things start getting real very quickly. And buyers need to really understand what's actually included in this home. What's considered an upgrade? When is money due? Are your deposits, refundable? What happens if financing changes? And, what happens if you decide to change your mind or you have to get out of the contract? And those conversations really do matter. One really important thing buyers need to know is this. Bring your own real estate agent with you from the very beginning. Because if you walk into a model home without your own representation first, most builders will limit your ability to even use an agent later on. In fact, many say if you don't sign in and put your agent's name on immediately, they're out of the deal, even if you've been working with them for a year. And a lot of buyers don't understand this. They don't realize this. And it's not about fighting with the builders or the builders reps. It's not that way at all, because builders want to work with agents. In fact, builders advertise to real estate agents to bring in customers, telling us their new models and their incentives because they want to work with us. And it's a completely normal part of the process of new constructions. So buyers, just remember, you still need somebody helping you strategically through all the moving pieces of a new construction home. Model homes are meant to create an emotional connection with the people that walk through that door. And the builder's rep is there to tell them how they can change a kitchen or this, or let's go look at other floor plans. And this is where people are shocked sometimes, because these model homes are usually loaded with upgrades. Each builder has certain things that are standard and are upgrades, and every builder is different. In that model home, they're going to be putting the best flooring and the best cabinets. They'll probably have the extended cabinets, crown molding, and with a lot of builders, it's not standard. They may be adding extra lighting, extra trim work, structural upgrades. And when you walk into those model homes, if you've been in them, you know they're just gorgeous, and people emotionally connect to what they're seeing right away. But you have to realize, in order to get what is in that model home, it's going to cost you. And I see buyers emotionally attaching to a house before they really ever understand the cost or what their home will look like without all of those additional features. Because now you're adding lot premiums and elevations, structural options, and design upgrades. And suddenly the price looks nothing like that base price that you started originally looking at. So it's important to really understand what does come standard with each builder, so that you're moving through the process with your eyes open, because every builder is different. And that matters more to your bottom line than most people realize. Now let's talk about the financing piece, because this is where I see people getting overwhelmed very fast, or really not completely understanding what's going on. Builders offer a lot of incentives, use their lender. They may be offering incentives towards closing costs. They may be offering incentives that they'll pay money towards your design center money. Or they may even be offering what's become pretty popular lately, the 2-1 Buydown. And some of those incentives can absolutely help a buyer. But this is also where buyers need to kind of look at all the pieces and ask the important questions, because people will hear, wow, lower monthly payment. And they'll like that, right? I get it. Of course, we all do. But buyers need to understand, how are they getting to that lower payment? How long does that lower payment last? What happens after that 2-1 Buydown ends? And what does their payment become later? What are the long-term costs associated with doing this type of loan? Because I'll tell you, sometimes the builder's lender absolutely makes sense. And sometimes a local lender may actually end up being the better option for you. It just depends on the situation. And that's why buyers really do need somebody kind of guiding them through to let them know, because buyers will not know. They will think this 2-1 Buydown or these incentives or this is the best option, and I should automatically go with the builder's lender, and then it's a done deal. They're done without even questioning or looking at the hard numbers. Now, I actually did a interview with a local lender on my channel a way back, because the financing piece of home buying, even a resale home or a new construction home, can be so confusing and often very misunderstood. And I wanted buyers to hear directly from somebody who works lending day in and day out on the Space Coast. Now, what I want people to really understand, and I think that they do, but not to the extent, is that new construction really does work so different than a resale home. The contracts are even different, because you're signing a contract with a builder, okay, a standard contract with a builder. Versus the resale, and you're filling out, we're doing the FAR bar, contract that has been written by Florida real estate attorneys, and it's between a buyer and a seller. So the contract in and of itself is very lengthy in new construction, and it's written by the builder. And again, you really need to make sure you're reading that contract. Not that new construction, there's anything wrong with it. Please don't let me scare you. New construction is a great option, but it's a long contract, and you really need to fully understand it before signing your name. And that is really also why buyers need to be sitting down with an agent who truly understands new construction and be able to go through what some of those things really mean. Because not every agent, not every buyer of new construction is going to know all of the different pieces. The builder's rep isn't even going to be telling you some of these things. For example, who's going to be making sure that you get a pre-drywall inspection, which is necessary, absolutely necessary in new construction. Looking over the builder timelines, what's standard, what's not. How much is this home really going to cost me if I want all of these upgrades before you sign on the dotted line? And how exactly do these builder incentives work for you and benefit you? Now, I already mentioned about pre-drywall inspections, okay? And I feel very strongly about this. Don't skip inspections. Now, in new construction, of course, you're having that end of the build inspection, and hopefully you're having it by your own home inspector, okay? The city does its inspections, the builder does its inspections as well, but you need your own inspector checking these things out for sure. Because remember, your inspector actually works for you. Now, the pre-drywall inspection, why I'm so adamant about having it done is because once the drywall goes up, you cannot see anything behind those walls anymore. And sometimes buyers will think, well, it's brand new and it's going to all be fine. But I'm here to tell you, things do get missed all the time, not on purpose, but because you have different contractors working on different pieces of the new construction. And just oftentimes there is something that happens. Again, not on purpose, but that happens. And that can cost a buyer a lot of money. So private inspectors, that pre-drywall, and then your ending inspection, having the inspector for you is just really important. It's a few $100s and it is money well spent. I think we've all heard in the news these horror stories of some people who have purchased new construction homes. And I know there's one particular builder we're hearing about all the time now, but it does happen with every builder because we're all human. Now, I do just want to mention a side note. I really am mostly talking about, the big builders who are building a lot of homes. It is a little different when you're building less homes, maybe a semi-custom builder or a fully custom builder. Okay, so I'm really talking about those builders that are building, many, many homes in communities. And I also have another video that I did with a local home inspector, and he does get into inspections on new construction homes as well, because again, there's a lot of moving pieces in new construction that most buyers don't realize. Now, we've been talking about new construction and new construction homes and communities, but where you live matters more. And this is one of the conversations I really have with people who are relocating here, because buyers can get really into the builder or the floor plan, the community, all of those different things. And I even have videos on those myself, different communities, different builders. I've done some builder interviews and model homes. And those videos are truly helpful. But the house really is the easy part of relocating. The harder part is figuring out where you actually want to be, what kind of lifestyle fits you, and what daily life is actually going to feel like once you're here long term. And with all the westward growth here in Brevard County, buyers really do need to think about things like traffic and their commute time. What's the pace going to be like in the daily lifestyle? Different communities offer different things, but what's around it and what is your purpose for moving here? Are you moving for a job and need to be close? Are you moving to be closer to the grandkids? Or are you just retiring? And I have worked with relocation buyers that were absolutely convinced that they wanted new construction and they wanted a particular community. And after we did our consultations and we really got into the process, they ended up buying a resale home instead, or something that was, a new construction, but absolutely in a different location than what they expected to begin with. Because honestly, sometimes purchasing a resale home for the lifestyle you want ends up being the better decision than a new construction home. Vice versa. Sometimes people think they want to resell and they end up in new construction. Okay, because people are choosing a floor plan, but what they're really choosing is where they want to live. And once we can figure out an area, the house becomes really, in effect, the easy part. And then when we know where it is that you want to live, comparing builders and communities and floor plans and incentives and all of that becomes a lot easier. And I'm actually been going into that much deeper into another relocation video that's coming out next Tuesday, where I really talk about choosing where you live is a much bigger decision than people often realize. And I've also just finished my newest relocation guide that will walk you through some of the questions that you should be asking yourself if you are planning to relocate to the Space Coast. And I'll put that in the description below. So new construction can absolutely be a fantastic option for a lot of buyers. And I work with a lot of buyers who genuinely love the building process and the excitement about it. But I find the ones who handle the entire process best are the ones that slow down a little bit and ask all the questions so that they can go into the new build process with their eyes wide open. And they understand everything they're getting into before they ever sign their name on that contract. So the bottom line is, it's a major financial decision. Slow down, take your time so that you make sure you're making the best possible decision for you and your family. So if you're thinking about building new construction or relocating to Florida Space Coast, trying to figure out what are your best options for you, please feel free to reach out. I help people all the time to go through all of their options and kind of guide them and talk them through this process. Now, I'll link my new construction guide below in the comments. You'll see a link for my lender interview and my home inspection interview and some of my other new construction videos, as well as my relocation guide. And if this video was helpful to you, please make sure to like and then subscribe to my channel. I do put out a new video every Tuesday. And I'd love to hear from some of you who have built new construction, or you're in the process of new construction or thinking about new construction. And what do you think is the part that overwhelms you the most? Now, if you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. I do put out a new video every Tuesday, and I'd love to hear from you. Anyone who is thinking about new construction, or maybe you've already purchased a new construction home, and give us your insights. What part was the most overwhelming? What did you like the most? Did you have a positive experience or not? Because people really need to know. Now, I'm Tina Veltri. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.